Right. Okay, I think I got a new
Hello.
title all figured out for this. I think I'm good. Are you good?
We're good. We're live.
Did you you don't have Thanksgiving Day in Canada yesterday?
No, it wasn't yesterday. It's back in October. But since all of my clients are in the U.S., I celebrated the same. One day off.
Do you eat turkey on Canadian Thanksgiving? I actually
We
don't.
do.
I've never
We
been
do.
to I've never
We
been to a
do.
Canadian Thanksgiving.
We do. Turkey,
My wife's
ham.
Canadian.
That's right.
But we've never celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving.
Right. Right. Since I'm Asian, my parents are they do turkey, but most Asian families don't do turkey.
So, dude, I've been to Asian, Canadian, Asian
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
where they stuff the turkey with rice.
With rice,
Yes.
mushrooms, rice,
Some kind of
vegetables.
secret. He was very proud of it. This
Yeah.
very, very proud Asian Canadian man who was telling me
Yeah.
about his like Canadian rice, like Chinese hybrid rice stuffing
Yeah. Yeah.
recipe.
That's a thing.
It was
That is a
awesome.
thing. It just makes more sense than what, like, bread. Is that what's turkey stuffing is usually bread?
If you like rice, that's correct.
That's right. Rice is much better. Try
All
yourself.
right, let's kick this off. Welcome to the Gregory and Paul show. I'm Gregory.
And I'm Paul.
And we break down the latest SaaS, startups, AI. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. We decided for this Black Friday that we would share our journey as founders and entrepreneurs and help you all with your business. There's a lot of people who have been laid off recently. I've been getting calls, emails, texts from lots of people asking for help. How did they get started with a freelance business? How did Paul and I pull off what we pulled off? And so we thought you'd take you through our journey and give you some actionable tips and advice that you could use. And so, Paul, I think I want to title this From Zero to $1 Million, How to Have Your Own
Nice.
Freelance Agency.
That's crazy. That's a good
All
title.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Why don't, so, I think we should start perhaps with like your story, maybe even back when I met you on X, you were doing freelance.
We're going way back.
Yeah. I know, right? It's a couple of years, right? You're doing the freelance developer stuff, and then you tried to do some other things, then you pivoted. So why don't we go with like the origin story about your developer freelance, and then how you had to get away from that. Yeah.
Right. So, I'm not sure if a lot of people know about this, but I started out as a software developer. I had my own startup as the CTO, and right around 2.5 years ago, when ChatGPT 3.5 came out, I noticed a massive shifting in the market. So I had a dev agency at the time as well, where I was the contractor for software development jobs. Right around when ChatGPT 3 came out, I saw a massive crash in the pricing. So two things, right? AI came out, pandemic, low interest rate also happened, and because interest rates were going up, people were not spending as liberally on software development costs. So, like, literally, I saw the crash of software development MVP jobs going from 100K per project down to around 50K, down to 10K, all within a span of about a year and a half. And that was just such a shock in the market. And I noticed it, and I talked to people, everyone was feeling it. So that's kind of the moment where I decided I had to shift away from software development, especially the types of development I was doing, which is like MVP, early stage product building, into something completely different. And that thing was marketing.
Yeah. So I mean, at this stage, I guess it's obvious in a lot of ways, right? But I remember talking to you about this because we were talking about, hey, like, what has the impact of AI been in the business world, in the like tech world? and you were like, hey, it's taking away all of the like outsourced MVP work. Right now you
Yeah.
can, and now I think it's actually quite obvious. Like if you want MVP, you just vibe code it. You don't need to hire a team and spend a huge budget on it, particularly for something early stage. Maybe like later on, it makes sense. But there
Right.
was a massive market for creating MVPs and prototypes, and like that market's gone.
That market's so that market is gone, not completely. There's like a gradient knowledge level, right? There's buyers who still don't believe that AI is production ready, so they still hire developers or traditional developers to build these things. So like, I'll tell you a story. Just this month, I was talking to a founder who had about $60,000 per month of payroll, hiring a dev agency.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of all of that $60,000 dev agency, and now they're literally vibe coding themselves.
Yeah.
It's
Yes, the shift is real.
The shift is massive, yeah.
Yeah.
So this took 2.5 years for this founder to build up enough confidence and for the tooling to be mature enough for them to literally do this. This founder is not technical at all, but now they can. They can just vibe code their own tools.
All right. So your MVP business kind of started to slide. And so then what did you do?
Exactly, yeah. So I had two choices. I knew that being a developer is still a core skill that you should keep. I had a pivoting the role where I can either go more design heavy, so work up, capture more of the value upstream, or I could go completely separately into marketing. So the key insight that I had there was I noticed that a lot of marketing agencies also sold dev products. So when I kind of noticed that, I realized that sold if I sold marketing, I could also come in with development down the line
Right. As an add-on,
as
right?
an add-on or upsell.
And then okay, so let's tie this into like where a lot of people are today. Like I said, I'm having calls all the time with people like, hey, I got laid off. I mean, I'm in Seattle
Yeah,
and really big layoffs at Amazon, thousands, right? Like 15,000. And they expect to lay off another 10 to 20,000 people
right.
in January, right? So you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I'm going to pivot into marketing. How did you
Yeah,
how did you take the first step, right? Like, so you had this dev agency, it's declining. There's not as many projects. The price of projects going down. Like, just the market went from what was like a good business
correct.
to a really, let's call it, competitive market with dropping prices and too many people out there
Yeah,
willing to do it.
yeah,
You decided like, hey, I'm going to pivot into marketing. What was the thing that like kicked that off, and then and how'd you do that?
yeah. So it wasn't like I wake up one day and decided to do that thing. So like I had the dev agency, right? I had about two or three different contracts paying me relatively okay hourly rate. So I was still doing that, but at the same time, I was constantly look on the lookout for my next idea with a marketing. So
Yeah.
right around beginning of this year and end of last year, I started noticing Reddit. Reddit content was being boosted on Google. That was number one. So there's a fundamental shifting SEO that I was noticing. Two, I was just noticing the patterns of people on Reddit was shifting. So, for example, my wife's not a Redditor, but she's more and more going on to Reddit to read product reviews. So the combination of those two things kind of made me realize that Reddit is now a platform where people are going on there to make shopping decisions.
Yeah. So I remember this. I think it was like right when I had started Vibe Your SaaS,
Right.
because what I remember, did you text me or message me? Because I remember did you have something go like really viral on there? Because I remember I got onto it to some degree based on your
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about the SEO impact. That's how it
Yeah.
came up.
Yeah. So like it was a combination of multiple things. So one is I kind of used Reddit as a platform to teach myself how to write content. So a lot of people use Medium, Substack. I kind of used Reddit because I've been on Reddit for a really long time, and then I used that to just kind of teach myself how to market myself as a dev agency owner. And I had quite a few posts go super viral on Reddit.
Oh, dude, so I remember that. I remember when I first met you. You showed me
Yeah,
you had a post 500K agency, right?
correct.
That
Yeah.
was like number one in. And I remember that now. So before, prior to, let's say, the explosion in interest on Reddit, you had already been pretty successful at creating content that was good
Yeah.
at getting spidered into Google.
Getting into Google and also just
Yeah.
getting people to notice and interact with the content, right? So like I tried a whole bunch of different things in 2023. So I knew that I wanted to do marketing around like 23. I tried like YouTube, I tried TikTok, Instagram, I tried all the video platforms, and I tried that's when I started on X as well. I also use Reddit as like a way for me to write long form content. So just the fact that I noticed it was indexed in Google and also people on there were I could get in front of millions of people instead of waiting for the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I remember that when you came to me, and we are talking about like God, at this point, it was kind of the early days of the
Totally.
Reddit, Google, AEO, SEO craze.
Yeah,
And you're like, look, I remember you're like, look, it's really easy. This is all you gotta do to get your thread, your Reddit thread into Google. And at the time it was straightforward. Because I remember I was like, okay, and I had marketing for startups like the number one.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the number one hit in Google for a while because of you on your feedback and encouragement. I remember that. I remember that. So yeah,
Yeah,
so you
that's
started
awesome.
doing this. You kind of like, from my perspective, you kind of cracked the Reddit code. So how'd you take like, your skill from having fun and doing a good job on social media but selling that? Like I think that's the reason. Let me just
Right.
go into. I just want to, the context here. I think is like, let's assume there's all these people and they're generally good at something. They have some kind of skill,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's an important part. But like my friend was a designer and he's trying to figure out what to do. Or I know a lot of people who are marketers and content writers, those type of things, right? So they got a skill. And then you were like, hey, Reddit, there's an opportunity. So how did you start marketing that as a service?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think I definitely got lucky in a sense that there's a lot of market demand for this thing. So, right around the beginning of the year, lots of people have also realized that AI SEO was starting to be a thing, and Google's SEO were boosting Reddit content. At the back of that is clicks were disappearing. So, a lot of people's
Mm,
traffic from Google were disappearing. And so you saw like two lines, right? Your clicks from Google were going down, and you also saw Reddit traffic source from AI and also Reddit go up. So
yeah.
a lot of people flooded into the market of looking how to get their content onto Reddit. So my first few clients were exactly that. They saw the trend, and they were looking for somebody to do help them do that.
How did you
And
find them?
yeah, so it was for the first few. It was just me on social media. So X, a few were referrals. One early B2B like a small size business that's relatively more established came from LinkedIn. So it was just a lot of social. So
You would, yeah, yeah. So, because I think this is the part where like a lot of people struggle is they're like, okay, I've got some skills. Like, what do I need to do? Like, how do I secure a couple
yeah,
early customers?
so okay, looking back, it was super obvious, right? Social works when lots of people are searching for something and not a lot of people are talking about it.
Right. There's a lot of demand for Reddit, but there weren't a lot of experts who had like, and you had proof You're like, here
Correct.
is a link that content I produce that got millions of views, is a top post in terms
Yeah,
of like its appearance in Google or the types of things that they were looking for. So you could show them examples.
exactly. Exactly. So my early stage content on both on X and LinkedIn were exactly that. It's like, here's what I did, here's how many impressions that I got, here's the outcome. And it worked
Did you
really well.
just did you just like send people that on LinkedIn? Like, how did you do that on LinkedIn?
No, it really, it's just people are actively searching for this on LinkedIn.
Oh, and they
And there
found your
were,
profile.
yeah, because there were a lot of people that's doing this, right? So like my content were just always in the top two or three that shows up. So
Yeah, so
now
you had a lot of visibility.
I had a window of about like 2 or 3 months that there was a lot of flooding demand coming in, but not a lot of people were actively talking about it yet. Now that's completely different. I don't think that opportunity exists anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So you got lucky. There was like a lot of demand,
Totally. Timing. Yes,
and you had the solution. But
correct.
what did you do to bring them on though? Like, how did you like? Let's talk about
Yeah,
some of the strategies, right? Because I do think that like people I know, I think people are
yeah,
even successful at perhaps like finding a person or finding people who want to work with them, but they
yeah,
struggle to like close, to like get them
yeah,
across the finish line and get them to
yeah.
pay them, right?
Yeah, so sales. So now we're shifting into sales, right? Like the um,
Yeah.
so sales, I think personally, is just two things. One is if you are knowledgeable, if you know how to do the thing, and then second is just
Mm.
pricing. So like on sales calls, because I'm very technical, I can show them exactly what I did. Right? Okay, I do a breakdown of analysis on which subreddits that you should target. How do you
Mm.
craft a Reddit post that will do well? Sometimes before I get into the sales call, I would just write the post, get it ranked on Google, and just show them the result.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So write a post like on spec for the customer.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I did that for the first, let's say, 15 sales calls, and yeah, it was super simple, right?
Yeah, okay. I actually love that idea. Like doing work on
Just do
spec,
the work. Yeah,
do the
it's
work
like,
in advance. Yeah,
obviously don't do a lot of like, don't do work for free, but writing a post when you're confident takes you 15 minutes, let's say.
and then how many calls did you have to like close a couple of customers? Let's say the first 3 or 5.
Just one call and done.
The first one closed.
Yeah. So
All
like
right.
it, because so the combination of two things, right? The pricing was really, really low. As in, when I first started, I charged $500 per month.
Yeah, yeah. That's really important feedback too, and I've given that to a lot of people I know. And I guess like I would even abstract this out and say like when you think about pricing in general, and maybe this is even the right way for people to think about it,
Yeah,
like you can't come from like I need to fill this gap of how much money I used to make. You have to come from the bottom, which is
exactly.
like how much can I realistically sell this for so someone will close. And in the
Yeah,
beginning, if you don't have a lot of examples, you don't have a lot of credibility in this like area, you're new and the customers are new, like low pricing is what I recommend to everybody to get a few things across the finish line. That was even how I handled Vibe Your SaaS. I first launched it. Like I was maybe I'm more typical because you were very lucky with the timing, which absolutely everyone should try to figure out, right? Like
yeah,
make sure you're in
totally.
an area or a growth industry that there's demand for, and if you can find an opportunity, like that part's really important. But like when I launched Fiber SaaS, like it wasn't really like there was a lot of demand for it. I had a following, and I just kind of nailed the vibe coding trend and rode that. And so, and it was kind of mysterious what I was doing. When I like my landing page didn't really say a whole lot. It just was kind of vague, and I just made it look really cool. And I figured like whatever, like just throw it out there. I went with this like wacky kind of like what I would call a challenger brand, right? Like on like it was unprofessional by design, right? Like I wanted to appeal
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
early stage companies, early stage. So I had a very specific kind of target audience, and I was very lucky. I launched it and people were intrigued by it. So I had like 50 people signed up, and I had actually go through. I actually called every single one of those people who signed up that was willing to take the call, and it was a lot of calls.
Yeah.
But in the first week, I did close 2 customers, like within 7 days of launching
Nice.
that landing page. Yeah, and I did the same thing you did. Like I had some pricing in mind. Like I can't remember what I originally put it at, like 1,200 or 1,000. It was really low, $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really get them to close at that. I could tell in the conversation. So I basically just said to them, like, well, what do you want to pay? Whatever number they came up with, I basically agreed to it. It was like, hey, that's great. You're going to be like my first customer. Let's just like work together and see where it goes. And they both closed. And then I was like, awesome. And I actually, part of them closing, I said, well, I would like you to be a reference for me for other
Yeah.
customers. And they were like, they were totally into it. Yeah. Yeah. So low pricing, I mean, we both really believe in that in terms of like a strategy for launching.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then, yeah. So, okay. So let's break down, or let's summarize what we spoke about so far. Like, find an opportunity that you're knowledgeable in and you have skills in.
Correct.
Then find customers. They're all
Find
over
customers. Yeah.
social media, LinkedIn, right? Hopefully you have something that they're looking for. If you don't have something they're looking for specifically, like you got to make a lot of noise, get out there, let people
Yeah.
know
Exactly.
what you're doing.
Social media work when you know that people are searching for it. It's something in demand, and you can have a unique enough offer to stand out.
Yeah,
It's
and then
it kind of sounds basic, right? But it's literally that's what it is, exactly is.
Yeah, and I loved your idea. I didn't do exactly that, but the spec idea, like just go and do it for them. I think that's what I would recommend to like designers, even content people. Like write a case study, like create content for them. I have done it with other people where I had some customers come in that wanted me to do some like X Twitter stuff for them, and I just made the account for them. They didn't have an account for their company; they only had personal ones, and so I remember like literally
Yep.
the night before the first call. I'm like, I kind of like what you did. I was like, what would really impress these guys? I'm like, oh, I know I have a cleaned up email that I've never used and a bunch of stuff. So I went and created the account for them and downloaded all the graphics and just set it all up. So like it looked cool. It looked like they're a very professional looking
Exactly.
corporate Twitter account. And they loved it. They were super excited about that.
Yeah. I totally think that's the way to go.
Okay. So let's assume you close a few customers. You're not making a lot of money, but you're doing a lot of work.
Right.
Right. That's the next phase,
correct.
right?
That sounds.
It's
correct.
like, wow, I'm doing a lot of work and I'm not making a lot of money. So how did you solve that problem?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on at this stage. So you got to work hard. That's number one. You gotta be willing to take on a lot of low paying customers while delivering really good work, right? And I personally tap out at around 10 customers. So like at one point I had around 10 people that were paying me somewhere between $500 to like $1,500. So maybe I was making like $6,000 or $7,000 a month, which is good enough to like sustain yourself, but you're also dealing with like 10 clients at a time. So that's when you need to start raising the price.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because I remember the day when you were like, hey, I got to 10K a month. And I was like,
that was a great day.
I was very proud of you. Yeah. So it's interesting. You have a slightly different strategy than I do because like I actually take on lots of customers.
Yeah.
And I've been able to make it work like more than 10. I agree that 10 is probably ideal, but I've been able to manage a lot more depending on how you structure things and do things and stuff. So, but I think that's an excellent number to aim for. Okay. So you got 6. So how did you get from 6 to 10? 10K a month.
Yeah. So I started raising the price, right? So I started at 500, raised it to 1,000 to 1,500 within a span of 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, so just kept increasing the price. And then like, were you still doing a lot of marketing and sales calls and generating leads?
So I think like, so during that time, I was still really lucky. It was just coming from referrals, from social media posting, people booking calls directly with me.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody in my own personal approach. I mean, I'm in marketing my whole life, right? I'm like, you never ever stop marketing ever. You never
Correct.
stop sales. You never
Correct.
stop marketing. And I've written about it in my newsletter, like my I don't know if I was this explicit about it with like my structure of like how I approach organizing my week. But like Friday's the day where like I do say this, I don't take any customer calls generally on Friday because I reserve it to do all kinds of other things that I need to focus on. And most of that is like my own content, my own work, whatever I need to do to set things up to just ensure that like my marketing engine and my sales engine is running. And I feel like that's one of the things I see a lot of people do is they maybe get a few customers in the door and then they get way too focused on servicing the customer, not focused enough on servicing their business.
Correct. So I still struggle with that literally every single day. Is how do you switch back and forth between marketing and sales and also execution work? I personally find that really, really hard. Really hard.
Yeah, I know a guy that wrote a newsletter about it. So, oh, funny. Okay, so okay, you got to 10K.
Do you want to summarize any tips from that? Because
oh yeah, sure. So I can summarize it actually really quickly. It worked for me too. Like I guess, dude, I guess my advice with everything in the world always starts with like know who you are and structure things that work for your personality. I think you have a little bit different of a personality. I do. So for me, I know that I am incredibly disciplined. I'm very, very methodical and like I like things to be all thought out and planned in advance, and which some people find very uncomfortable. So that's me. I know that. So the way I do that is like I divide up my week and I set different days to do different things. And within those days, I have calendars and time frames about how I manage stuff, right? So I decided that Friday is the like no kind of customer call day, and I try not to take any calls. That's why we made this on Friday. Because I was like, I thought it'd be a cool day to do our live stream, and Friday's day I'm relaxed in the sense of like I'm driving my schedule. I don't have to like worry about people canceling or changing or any of that. So that one's really important for me. Like Friday's always like my day. And then I had some customers at the beginning that were in Europe. And so I only made 2 days a week where I would get up really early and talk to them. Like Tuesday and Thursday, I think. So Monday, no like 6 a.m. call or anything ridiculous like that. The other thing I did was like no partners, customers, no one in Asia, zero. Like I committed, and at the time, because the way things played out, like I had partners and people I work with in Europe, and so okay, I can get up early. I like to get up early. I'm an early person, morning riser. I don't like to stay up late. So like that worked really well for me. So because of that, I made a really strict rule: nothing in Asia. Because Asia, where I am in the West Coast in California, I'm not in California
it just
anymore.
doesn't work.
In Seattle, it's late at night and it's not good for me. Like I don't like doing things at 9 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I make mistakes. I'm cranky. I say mean things in emails that I never should say. Like I just know that about myself. And so that was a really hard rule for me. Like no contractors, no matter how talented you were, like just that was a rule. And that was for me.
That's a good that's a
good rule. Really important, right? Maybe some days we'll change it, but like not have any customers in Australia, like so that part was important. And then I don't do it as much now, but at a point when I was really new and trying to just meet people, I made Wednesday an in-person day. And I would go to co-working space in Seattle and I would meet with people in person. So, and the other thing I do with my time is like I put lots of things in my calendar and I have like pretty strict process to how I do things. When I was posting on Reddit when we first connected about the growth of Reddit, I had a calendar update every morning that said post on Reddit at like 7 a.m. or something for 30 minutes. And I would follow that and I'd go on Reddit and I'd post a lot. And it worked really well for me. In fact, like I had a bunch of stuff go crazy viral, millions and millions of views. And it drove some of the first customers came directly from Reddit. They told me they saw my stuff on Reddit and that's how they found me. So I know for sure that it worked.
Yeah. So, okay. So it's really cool that you work almost the exact opposite that I do. I'm basically like I can't follow a schedule at all.
You make it to our live stream.
Correct.
Barely.
There's like certain things that I know that I have to show up for. So I'm like chaotically or like organized chaos, which is I know there are certain things that I will always do. I just make sure that I check in, but then that also hits like a limit, right? That basically like I have a mental model of all of the delivery work that I need to get done in a single week,
Mhm.
and it tops out at like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
can't handle any more than 11 or 12.
Yeah. So look,
Clients.
that's why that's what I'm saying. Like, be sure that you would know who you are. Don't just
Right.
copy someone's approach.
Right.
Because like it's not going to work for you if you have a different, like if calendars don't work well for you, then do something else, right? Like, so what do you do to stay organized then? Do you have like, do you do a task list? Like,
Yeah, so like every single day, I have a mental list of 2 to 3 things that I want to get done, and like everything else doesn't matter.
mhm.
I make sure I get those 2 or 3 things done, and like everything else just it's distraction. So like yes, I
Yeah.
can get distracted, but I have to get like these couple things done.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's get back to like, so okay, so we've talked about 0 to 1 basically. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah,
Low pricing,
yeah,
just call everybody you know, talk to everyone you know,
yeah.
focus
Good
on skills that
marketing.
you're good at, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and then anybody should be able to get to like 3, 4, 5 customers, paying them couple $100 to $2,000. I think is probably the ceiling
totally,
of that stage. So you
totally.
should be able to do that, sustain yourself. Then we've talked about going from like 6 to 10, and for you that was
I would say I
referrals.
would attribute it to lots of referrals. The correct timing
Yeah,
is also important. Lots of people are still piling in, looking for the service that I'm offering, and then yeah, it's referrals. I would
yeah.
say.
Okay, and then going from like 10K a month beyond,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
So I think that's when you start needing to start to build systems as in like okay yeah you're doing something right and people are sticking around for longer than 3 months. You know exactly what you need to deliver to keep these people around. That's when you could start either building systems like automation or start hiring people to take over that work for you. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did a little bit of both, let's say 50-50.
It's you brought up something that we didn't actually talk about that I think is really important. And I thought a lot about this when it comes to like a lot of the things happening in marketing is like focusing on a skill or an area of service that's repeatable.
Correct. Yeah.
And yes, this part's really important because like so I've had, I was just thinking about the other day, I've had, in addition to like all the stuff I've done full-time jobs I've had.
Yeah.
I've also had 3 different side businesses, side hustles that I've scaled to like well over 100 grand. Um, so I would say there's 3 distinct businesses I've started,
Yeah.
and 2 of them I gave up because I liked working full time and I didn't want to do those things. So I did them on top of my full time job,
Yeah.
and I liked doing it. And this is the first time we're like, okay, this is what I'm doing full time, and I expect to continue doing it. Right. So I would call this my third. I don't know if it's a startup, but my third attempt at like starting a business, or starting a business that scaled. And then the repeatability thing is really important because like the
Yes.
second time when I had my agency Brand Zen, which was like a big success, but I wasn't very proud of it because I was just kind of like maximizing revenue and I didn't have like a vision for it. And I kind of took on any project. I took on projects that were like one-offs. And that was like not a great business. So I
Correct.
used to be a creative director. I was a good designer. I took on design projects. There's still people that call me randomly, like, can you do this infographic for me? And like, I'll do it because I like them.
Yeah.
But like the design business, from my perspective, like, is not a great business. Like people come in, they ask for them, and then they go away. Websites too is one of the reasons like I don't focus on websites as a business, they come in and then they start to become larger and larger projects, and then they go away. It's not like a repeatable, it's not a repeatable product. And that was why like I eventually like pivoted Brenzen into a content marketing agency, because I saw that like content in general is a fairly stable business that people need on an ongoing basis. And I would recommend that like anybody, if you're trying to do this agency freelancer type of approach, find a type of product that you can sell on a like recurring basis. So now with like Vibe Your SaaS, it's a full stack agency for startups. We do a lot of things, but it's primarily focused on like content, social media. There's some automation things and stuff and ways to scale it. But I focus primarily on the repeatable things that people need to do marketing, demand generation, and go to market. Like I try to really avoid websites, right? Like I've made a lot of websites, and I like doing them actually, but I just refer people to a partner or someone I know who is fantastic at them, but I don't want to take on website design. And I typically try to avoid really big one-off projects that end.
Yeah, I completely agree there. So I think that's kind of like the main difference between a side project and a business is just how repeatable the process is, right? Like a side project or a side hustle might not be able to, you can't replicate, you can't hire somebody to take that over for you. And then if you're starting an agency as well, it really, at the end of the day, is some sort of a labor arbitrage. So can you find people that pay you more money and you can hire somebody for cheaper than the cost?
Yeah. And maybe way to tie this in for when scaling over 10K a month, right? When you get to 20, 30, 40, 50K a month.
Yeah.
Like ideally you need it to be repeatable. So that part
Ideally, it
important.
has to be, well, it has to be repeatable. It's okay for you to not know what that is. You can leverage a lot of like the price discovery to do that, right? Like at one end of the scale is you're very, very creative. Every single piece of content or deliverable is unique from other things, but then you need to charge a ton of money for that to make it worthwhile. On the other end, it's like completely productized. You're just coming off of an assembly line, so you might charge at a very low price, but then it's highly deliverable. And then usually the answer is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And that's what I've been coaching, or talking to a lot of my friends about, is like, how do you productize what you do? And that's why like this part I think is super important. And like you don't need to figure it out in the beginning, right? Just get some projects. That's how I started. Just like take on some stuff. Like I did design projects at the beginning because like I just needed the money, and I was good at them and I was able to get them, right? And so I knew that wasn't like a repeatable business, but there's a way to do it. I've even recommended to people like make it like a design service. So, and if it's a design service, you want to focus on like marketing graphics, things that people need on an ongoing basis, banner ad, like websites are generally not something people need every month, right?
Correct.
So think about that and like, how do you productize that, right? I think any of your services coming up with a productized way where it's like, I charge this amount of money a month. These are the general deliverables that you get. And like, I want you to keep working with me for a long time. And if you use that as like your kind of guiding principles, like that's the focus, right? A consistent payment. It's like a SaaS. It's exactly like a SaaS service.
Yeah.
But it's like for your service, right?
Exactly.
And so you just think about how do you frame it like that? And how do you present it in a way to people that it's like a service that they buy and that they get on a monthly basis. I love what you just said too about like from ultra custom to fairly templated. And that took me a long time, like to figure this spectrum out. And I even have customers that fall in different spaces. And to some degree, that's what defines my kind of pricing tiers. Like I have like kind of a low tier where it's fairly templatized. I spend a lot of time like building out templates, thinking through like how I approach go to market, building like a marketing plan that's fairly cookie cutter for people. And I kind of know it for the most part. If you're a B2B SaaS company, you're bootstrapped, you're a
Yeah.
solo founder, you got 3 guys, like I kind of know what you need to do. And that stuff is pretty straightforward. And I can really templatize that stuff and they get a ton of value from it. But as you grow and scale, you need a little bit more customization to
Right.
what you're doing. And I think that's exactly the right way to think about like from a pricing perspective and how you scale. And I think that could be applied to a lot of businesses. Like how do you make it really templated
Totally.
and like low cost? And how do you
Totally.
make it more custom and charge more?
Right. Yeah. And then there's a lot of like there's a lot of contradictory things along this. So like that's one massive piece that I had to learn is just how to templatize and figure out where my pricing lands in the market.
Mm.
And the second thing is like, so I'm gonna say something that's completely contradictory to what I just said.
Okay, I'm ready.
Lowest paying clients usually demand the most, right? So like businesses that's paying, or as you charge more and more money, the larger clients they become, they usually demand or less.
Yeah,
So
that's a really interesting point. My experience has been that lower cost people, I never had trouble servicing them, but they churned. They
right,
come in, they go out, right? Which is fine too. That's why it goes back to my like always have a massive pipeline, always be
right,
out there marketing. You never know when a big customer too is going to churn, so you need to
correct,
always have a lot of demand.
correct,
But
correct.
yeah,
So
in
you
general,
can't get rid of them,
yes,
right? So this is like a problem for service companies is the lower because the lower end to your customers uh things are not working as well, so you have to try a bunch of different things versus like the higher paying clients. It's okay, usually they know exactly what they want, so you just have to deliver the thing,
yes,
right?
exactly.
So it's like, yes, there's a pricing grid where you do less work for lower paying, but then the client is their expectation is almost reverse, where the lower paying people demand more things from you, and the higher paying people they know what they want, so you can align really fast.
Yeah,
So
that's great feedback. I agree. I even go as far as say like so what I've been recommending to everybody is just get a lot of customers in the door and
correct,
let some people churn. And what's happened
that's
for
right,
me is like I've had some people who like they're not the highest paying customer, but they've been with me for like a really long time and it works really well. And it gets to a point where it's not a lot of work to service them and they're really happy because like they get exactly what they want. And for them, the switching costs become high. So it is
yeah,
possible to have the same experience, at least my experience. Possible to have like lower tiered customers who are excellent customers. I just think you need to have a lot of them and find the ones who are good.
yeah,
There's maybe 10% where I think you're totally correct that like large customers, they're bigger budget, they're further along in their business, they're more organized, they generally have a good sense of what they're looking for and they look for a great fit and then they don't
yeah,
churn, right?
yeah,
So you're just gonna have a higher percentage of them who stay.
yeah. This is really good conversation because like, so you can, if you just focus on the surface, so do good work, right, get referrals, charge more money, that'll get you to like 10 $20,000 a month, and then going from 20 to let's say $80,000 at the $1 million mark, you need to
Mhm.
start thinking about how to productize your agency and service. So like the way that I think about uh, those lower end customers that are still paying with me for a really long time,
Mhm.
they're as if they're productized, as in,
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has subscriptions that they still pay like $20 $30 for that they haven't used in the last like, I don't know, 2 3 months, right? A lot
Mhm.
of, for example, a lot of, I'm sure a lot of AI tool, a lot of their revenue is coming from people that just forgot that they subscribed to this thing,
Yeah.
right? So like you can charge at the lower end. The thing that you're giving them is access to your product or your agency for like knowledge. So the thing that you can offer these people is whenever some new piece of thing that you know works, you can think back to them and be like, hey, look, here's a cookie cutter thing that you can do now and you'll get immediate value. But that might
Yeah.
not happen every single week, every single day.
Yeah. So you made some great points too, and let's provide a little more clarity here. So like to
Sure.
get to $1 million,
Yeah.
right? So you obviously like, it's very hard to do, although I'd say it's not impossible at $1,500 a customer, right? So
Correct.
generally, you need to find a way to have a service that you can charge more for. And Paul and I have talked to like a lot of solo founders, agency people who do similar business to us. And we all, I think, agree on a couple of things regarding like pricing and regarding this is that there's a nice like sweet spot of monthly fees from 1,000 to up to like, I'm going to use the number 8,000.
Yeah.
And the reason that's like the ceiling is like beyond that, they could typically hire a full-time person.
Correct.
And so you have to be able, doesn't mean you can't charge more. You just have to provide more value than they would get, or there's some reason that you have something that they want that they're not going to get from a full-time person. But if you stay within this like sweet spot of like 1, 3, 5, 6, it's typically going to be cheaper if they hire someone. And if you're competent, which is where we started, right? You have to have a great skill. You have to be like really good in your area.
Sure.
It's going to be way better than they could get for anybody at that price. So in that price range, they're more than willing to work with a contractor who is consistent, has their business well thought out, and is delivering a great service, right? So in that price range, you can easily get to 20, 30 customers that are paying anywhere from like 1,000 to 8,000. And that's how you get to $1 million. Like it's not that difficult to do. And I've talked to a lot of people who have
correct.
who've done this. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, right? So at that point, the argument you have with yourself, and I have this, is just like, okay, your margin is going to be lower than doing it yourselves, right? You probably have a couple people that's delivering the work. And then what's the next thing? Because you can probably take this model all the way to the $3 million a year.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Right. And that's some of the things we've talked about too, like some basic things that like, that I want people to know that like, that Paul even taught me. So like I was billing everything from like, I had this like 90s agency mindset where I was like tracking hours. Yeah. I want all the old people out there who like came up through that model to understand that like just coming up with a productized approach where you throw people in Stripe and you just charge them like a monthly fee and you have like a set deliverable. I have like there's some deliverables somewhere that's basic. Like every month we're going to deliver this, and you just like focus on that. And you don't worry about hours. Like that was like a giant unlock for me, because all of the like invoicing and measuring and tracking and hourly management, all that stuff went out the window. I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
And if you start thinking in that way, then you're like, throw people on Slack. So you don't need to have an hour meeting. It's like, just send me a message, just upload something asynchronously here. You work in a more kind of like modern way, for lack of a better term. So there's a lot of tricks like that you can use that will reduce the overhead of like, having $1 million agency that requires a bunch of people, right? Like if you have like, so you remove all the billing and accounting stuff, like automate all of that, meetings, all that stuff. Like you should talk to people in person and you should have meetings, but like you don't need to overinvest in it. And you can use Slack, Asana, other tools out there to kind of like manage that. And if it goes well and you guys are like working well together with the customer, in general, what I've seen is like the meetings start to kind of drop off. They like, oh, we don't even need to meet this week, or we'll just catch up later. It starts to become very operational. And so a lot less of your effort and energy goes into customer management, which goes back to my original thing, like get lots of customers, and the ones that like are not working for whatever reason, like do not worry about it. Let them churn. I think that was like a huge lesson. Like when I worked in a big agency, like we would refuse to do that for a variety of reasons, but I always thought it was bad. And I would recommend to people, like, if it's not working out for whatever reason, like let them go. But that means you need to be 100% committed to marketing and building your pipeline and making sure that like you have people to fill that gap.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you'll be able to do this to get to about like $1 million mark, I think.
Yeah.
And then at one point everything will just change once again. Right? Like
Yeah.
this is what I've already figured out, and I think it's just starting a business. So for example, what you just said, get everybody onto Slack, charge them in a productized way. But then right now I'm also thinking like it's actually detrimental for me as a founder to be able to always be available on Slack to all of my clients.
Mm.
Right? At one point you need to hire like an operator that takes this over, and I'm only focused on, let's say, marketing and sales to bring new leads into the pipeline. So at that point, it's like, okay, if you want to talk to me, then I'll have to upcharge, and then that shifts all the way back to the hourly invoicing thing again, where maybe you get like 10 hours a month face to face with a specialist.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah. Yeah.
really the answer is just like you have to do a bunch of like pricing discovery and just talk to people, talk to your customers all the time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like I said, everyone I've spoken to is like, it seems like it's pretty straightforward on the internet to do this. It takes a year. You've got to be really good at what you do. There's
Yeah,
enough tools out there, you can scale it. And you get to like a 500,000 and you can do it 100% by yourself. You get to 1 million, it probably takes some contractors or whatever. To get larger than that, you have to like have big reputation, be able to like charge perhaps
correct.
a premium, which people will pay if they think your service is awesome and you're delivering
Correct.
great work.
Yeah,
And 10 million is when you need full-time staff. So to get like, let's say from 5 to 10, like you need a full-time general manager, maybe a full-time, like, let's call it like executor, like whatever it is, like
operator. I think that's the
media
VC.
buying, yeah, whatever it is. Like you'll need someone who's like real talented, and they'll have to be compensated well because like the business will start
Correct.
to hinge on the output
Output in the pipeline. Yeah,
of that person.
I totally agree. You said something that's super important, which is brand and trust. So like
Mm,
everything that we said so far is you have to. It's all founder led, as in the founder is the person who's showcasing the trust. You can execute. You're
yeah,
doing sales calls. You're the one who's marketing on social media, jumping on podcast, all of that. And then the way for you to scale is you've built up the trust and branding enough that you could just let executors take that over a little bit. And it really depends on who you are. Like for example, I'm not an operator, or I'm not I'm not organized enough to be an operator. So I would definitely need to hire an operator to hand over like the day to day thing. But I feel like for you, your operator, maybe you will supplement somebody to do like the sales or the marketing. I'm not sure.
you haven't decided yet. And then you know what,
Right.
my business too is a bit of a mixed model where like I don't know if I want to do consulting forever. Like I don't have this ambition. Well, that's not true. I like doing consulting. I do want to do consulting forever.
Yeah.
Do I want consulting to be my primary business? I think I can confidently say no. I actually do want to do consulting forever. I love coaching and working with like early stage companies and
Yeah.
young entrepreneurs. Like I get so much personal satisfaction out of it that I actually don't think I will ever stop.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, I don't think I'll ever stop doing that. Like even the first customer I ever had, like he paid me like one time. He's like, kid, they didn't have that much money. And I still like have calls with them and work with them. And like when I have some time, like basically pro bono, just cause like, it's like, you're the first person I ever brought on and I love you. And I think you're amazing. And I think like maybe even this business won't be successful, but maybe you'll be successful in the future. So it's just something I do because I
Sure.
like to coach. I can like coach young people, but my ambitions are bigger than that in terms of like, I would like, this is actually a great segue into something I want to share. I do want Vibe Your SaaS like long-term to be a community product. And I want it to be more sponsorship driven. I actually thought a lot about this because there's a lot of different models I could adopt for it.
Yep.
But if
Yep.
I have the like if I maintain and continue the founder first brand, founder first approach, the only model that I think really works well is sponsorship. So like, I don't want to charge the founders to be a part of Vibe Your SaaS. I can charge them as a consultant. I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like the community needs to like highlight and represent them and make them feel good. And then we have like investors and like large, let's call them vendors. So from Amazon to Capgemini to all the different angel investors out there. And if I just represent the founders, all of those people are more than willing to pay for access in terms of sponsorships. I thought a lot about this, right? Because I could turn it into an angel fund or have some kind of investment firm, which is a lot of people want to do when they start doing what I'm doing. But the problem is like, then the model becomes mixed where I'm maybe competing against venture firms or have to partner with them. If I just say like, I'm all about founders, which is true. I love it. I think entrepreneurship, I think startups, I think founders is the coolest thing ever. I've done it my whole life.
Yeah.
Never want to do anything else. And I just want to represent them in a way that like other people don't. Just really be founder first. All of the venture firms and all the people will be happy to do it. And sponsorship becomes a very clear model. It's like, it's almost like highest bidder. You have money, great. You can sponsor and be a part of this and you can get access to the founders, and the founders are always free.
Nice. I think that's a really good program.
Yeah. And so I want to continue consulting, but I don't want it to be a $10 million like startup agency or something, which it could, but it's just not my ambition. But I do want to share something since we're kind of wrapping up the call here.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited about this because I got the final confirmation from Amazon.
Nice.
For the second Vibe Your SaaS VC founder mixer. So we did the first one in San Francisco.
Round 2.
There. It was awesome. It was so painful. Dude, I wanted to give up, like just bad luck. But I went through with it. I made it work. Everyone was happy. Sponsors were happy. Everyone was happy. And so based on that success, like I reached out to Amazon and they have what they call the AWS Loft, Builder Loft now. They've changed the name. Builder Loft in San Francisco. And they will be hosting the event. So I couldn't be more excited than having AWS on as a sponsor. Yes. And so March 11th, we'll start at 5:30 in San Francisco. And I've changed the format. Yeah, dude, this is really exciting. Change up the format a little bit. So last time we had demos, I plan to still have some demos, but startups can apply and we will select 5 for a little pitch competition. And then we'll crown one of the winners, the Vibe Your SaaS VC Mixer founder winner for the quarter. So get some recognition. Nice. Yeah, I want to have a little more of a formal approach to this. It'll be myself, Arjun, my good buddy, who's my partner on the events, and whoever the speakers that we get will be the judge. And I put your little criteria here. So I want it to be as straightforward as possible for people to understand, like, what are we looking for and how are we judging these things? And then, of course, like all you need to do to apply is just register the event. There's a checkbox that says, I'm a startup. I'm interested in submitting to the competition, and just put in your details in there and we will take a look at it and
that's super cool.
And follow up. Yeah, we'll probably do something else later on to drive interest in demos. But for the 5 pitches, we're going to go through them and evaluate them. And yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this.
And it's March 11th?
Yeah, we got to look at our travel schedule. I heard like hotels in San Francisco are getting expensive again. So have to take a look there. Yeah, that's what I want the Vibe Your SaaS to become, like a community. You know, I've got the newsletter and we're doing Startup of the Week now, which is really fun. And so people, if you're interested in having your startup featured, like reach out. Always looking for interesting people to be a part of it.
Very, very cool.
And should we do a meme?
Let's do it.
Dude, did you see the link I sent you earlier today?
I did.
Oh, dude, I think that's the funniest thing ever. I gotta post that. I gotta show that one. I gotta find it. It's basically, this is the greatest. Oh, here it is. Okay. It's maybe the greatest shit post of all time. So I did this. I wrote this like weeks ago. This joke was at a meetup in SF, and I said, maybe we don't need AI for this. And the next morning, I woke up and Stripe preemptively banned my account. Not true, just a joke, right? But obviously, like no one at Stripe understood this because the Stripe agent is looking for, I guess, people having
Keywords.
challenges. Yes, and they responded, "Hi, Gregory. We can investigate your situation directly. Please send us a message." And I wrote them back as politely as I could. Dear Stripe support, this was a shit post, but I deeply appreciate your help. You have one of the best products out there in SaaS land. And please forgive my sardonic sense of humor. Thank you for your service. I wanted to like as clear as I could be like, Stripe is the best SaaS product ever. Like, I love you guys. Like, I'm just making jokes. Okay, I don't need any help. And then there's some other guy like chiming in, like he's all upset. Oh, wait, where is it? There's another guy that's like, he's posting crazy stuff about like Stripe banned his account and everything in here. Or maybe he deleted it all.
Maybe it's spam, hidden as spam.
Anyway, yeah,
That's
I felt like
amazing.
I really had achieved something with this.
Stripe noticed.
Seems justified. Yeah, I would agree with that one.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome show today.
Great show. Okay, we'll end it here.
Thank you.